Yo, what is going on, Show Nation? It's Cbrev, bringing you guys a little bit different video today. There's been a lot of talk online about how to get Team Affinity rewards, like what's the best way. If you guys don't know, there's basically two ways you can get to 50% for Team Affinity, which is where the diamond card is located. The first way is you can beat the March to October with that team on Hall of Fame or Legend. That'll get you 50%. And then the other way, if we go to the Cubs here, like say I want this Schwarber, which I do, but I haven't done M2O yet. The other way is you can do these 3 exchanges, and that'll get you 45%, and then you can just play 250 innings, which takes about 3 9-inning games, assuming you fill your entire lineup with players from that team. And so the general consensus from what I've been seeing online is that the best way to go is to do the exchanges and the innings. Because when you place sell now orders, or you place a bid for a buy at a cheaper price, doing the exchanges, if you can extrapolate that out to all 190,000 points, if you do it with 74 overall bronze players, which are worth about 1,500, I think. I'll show you guys. So if you do, 54 or 1,541. So you can do these exchanges, and people have been saying they've been getting teams done from anywhere between about 12k stubs to 25k stubs, I think, on the high end, and that's if you don't want to wait. And so people are saying just spend the stubs. That's a much better route than playing M2O, because if you don't win the World Series on M2O, then you don't get anything. And so that's a pretty valid argument, but I do think some people are skipping over some things that I wanted to go over in this video, of why doing the exchanges is not necessarily the clear-cut best way to go. So the first reason I want to talk about is that these stubs that you put into these exchanges are completely a sunk cost for the entire rest of the year. So let's say you put 15,000 stubs of buy orders into Kyle Schwarber, and you get Kyle Schwarber, right? You can never get those 15,000 stubs back, because Kyle Schwarber is a no-sell card, obviously, and so you've sunk those stubs into this player for the entire rest of the year. Whereas if you were to buy a player off the market, he would at least have a resale value of something. So if we go to the market and just pick like a random diamond, like even with depreciation, let's say I buy this Arenado for 79. Even with depreciation, like 4 months from now, I might be able to get like 40k out of him after tax. And so when you spend stubs on these Team Affinity exchanges, you're never going to get those stubs back. So you're essentially exchanging exactly that many stubs for a no-sale card, which is fine on the higher end of cards. Like, I can totally justify spending, 20k to get this Juan Marichal, because he's a 92. He's going to last you a long time. Some of the higher end cards, like the Detroit Tigers, March to October is probably going to be pretty difficult. So if you want to do the exchanges for this Hal Newhouser, that might not be a bad way to go. But you have to think about the cost of the stubs that you're putting in to these cards, and how those stubs are going to be gone forever when you could be using them for other things later down the line. And namely, I want to talk about investing those stubs, and you can really start to see how just straight exchanging those stubs for a no-sale card can really hurt you. And so my prediction is that Rich Gossage, Cy Young, and Andrew Jones, these cards that you get from the first inning program, are going to be a bit harder to come by once the first inning program is over. And so supply and demand dictates that the prices of these cards should go up over time. This is pretty standard stuff if you play any Ultimate Team mode, specifically Diamond Dynasty. The last couple of years, you can kind of see this happening over and over. But let's say instead of doing 2 Team Affinity exchanges, you put those 30k stubs into buying a Rich Gossage. Well, in 2 months, this Rich Gossage might sell for 60k, so after tax you're looking at 54. So instead of having a player that's no sale that'll probably be expired in 2 months or replaced by someone better, you've now made 30k almost in stub profit. Now that requires a lot of patience and being correct about your observations, obviously, but people are kind of just glossing over the fact that once you put stubs into these exchanges, they're gone forever instead of being used for other things. It's kind of an opportunity cost scenario, and I can hear the counter argument with opportunity cost that, well, my opportunity cost for playing 8 hours of March to October is I'd rather spend the stubs, and that's totally fine. but you should only do that if you're deliberately doing something to help you make those stubs in that time. So if you want to spend 8 hours flipping cards and that gets you 15K, then that's totally fine, because you've now spent the same amount of time as March to October, but instead you're buying the card. That totally makes sense. But if you're just pulling stubs that you already had in your bank and just throwing them at the exchanges, I don't think that's the best way to go, especially with some of these lower tier cards like this Josh Donaldson. He's not really a competitive card, but if you're an A's fan like I am, you're going to want to do this Team Affinity at some point. And so doing the exchanges first is not really like the way to go, I guess. The other thing I wanted to touch on is if you are interested in multiple of these Team Affinity cards, that's when things can kind of really start to snowball and you're actually throwing away a lot of stubs that you're never going to get back. So even if you just wanted 5 starting pitchers from Team Affinity, that's 5 times 15,000 if we're lowballing. So you're putting 75K stubs into exchanges that you'll never see again. And so that's basically the basis of my argument. I'm not saying either side is right or wrong. I just don't see many people bringing up this side of the story. So if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.